with me, I have the executive producer and the owner of Wildstar Films, Vanessa Berlowitz. I had the show about queens, and it is a show about the female leadership in the animal space, and in the animal planet. But also, it was so intentional, I would think, to not only hire seasoned female filmmakers, but you also had the seasoned female filmmakers become almost like mentors to the new generation. I'd love to hear more about that.
Absolutely. It was when we set out to make Queens, which was totally new. No one had actually focused on female leaders in the natural world before. We said it was an unbelievable opportunity to showcase and spotlight female talent in our industry. You know, we can't staff our entire series with women, and that sort of highlights the problem, because there just haven't been enough women who've been given the opportunity to work on these big shows. So what sort of happened was Queens became this living academy almost, where the 4-year process of making the show became an opportunity to train other women and bring them up in our genre.
It took 4 years to make this docuseries. And what really stood out for me is when you talked about the differences in climate change in just those 4 years, and you observe those when it comes to the filming. Can you go a little bit deeper about this?
Yeah, I mean, we had, I think, one of the worst droughts in East Africa in 20 years happened in the middle of our filming. And we all know that droughts are getting worse with climate change, but it was so striking because our team literally had been following elephants. In fact, there was one amazing elephant called Selenge who turned out to be blind, who our director, Faith Masembe, is the first Black woman to produce natural history show, premium natural history, super proud of that. But she had been following elephants for our Savannah Queens episode, and you know, came back, filming was suspended because of the drought and because of COVID, came back to see unbelievable scenes of devastation, and in fact discovered that her favorite elephant, who she had so beautifully played Somewhere Over the Rainbow to, in order to make her feel relaxed because she couldn't see. So she would play music to her, and she discovered that her elephant hadn't made it through the drought, which was devastating. And, you know, just heartbreaking for all our team to sort of witness the extremes that are happening more and more in our environment as a result of climate change.
The episode of the bonobos, which I was so moved and touched by it, because of course, first of all, I had no idea that this specific race of the monkey, whatever you want to call it, that they're so similar to humans. But I really loved that you were showing with all those little monkeys that they needed the female and the human, that were the women who were chosen to take care of this beautiful creatures, and would have them for months just to build the bond. And I think that was so beautiful.
What they do there is so inspiring. These are women that are often orphaned themselves by civil war, who volunteer their services to literally live 24 hours a day with these baby orphaned bonobos, because in those first few days, literally those babies will die of heartbreak if they don't have constant comfort and contact. So, you know, these women take on this huge responsibility to rehabilitate these orphaned creatures and, you know, repair their damaged mental health, help them to become a bonobo again, you know, learn what it is to be a normal, free animal. And then they actually help them get reintroduced into big outdoor kind of community forests where they can live almost as wild again. It's an amazing story. It's a story of mutual redemption, actually, of both the women and the bonobos.
How did you get to Angela Bassett? Was she like on your list, or did she approach you to executive produce and obviously lend the narration to this?
So when we set out to make this show, we went, well, who would be the voice? And there was one voice we wanted. We wanted someone like Angela, who's a phenomenal actress. She can bring both high drama, she's sassy, she can do humor, you know, incredible breadth. But she also represents, she's such an icon of, you know, the acting world. She represents female empowerment, diverse female empowerment, and she is the queen. I mean, you know, from Black Panther, she's played this incredibly regal role, and we felt that she embodied everything that, you know, we aspired to represent with this series.
So what type of advice would you give to both aspiring filmmakers on one category, but also to just the general public to become more active and more involved in the preservation of wildlife and conservation, of course?
Firstly, with aspiring filmmakers, now more than ever, we need new voices. We need voices that are close to the people that live with wildlife, which is why Faith was so important. She is so important. She's Kenyan. And, you know, her voice is, we need to start hearing from the people who live with animals, because their voice matters. They have to deal with what it's like to be in conflict sometimes with animals, but they also have the best understanding. They're often guardians of this wildlife. So I would say any aspiring filmmaker that lives in an environment with animals, make films about those animals. If you're actually trying to become active in supporting the natural world, it's all about policy. It's all about who you vote for. You know, this is, find out what your government thinks and which parties are pro the environment and vote for them. It's as simple as that.
What do you think that we as humans can learn from these animals, both on the matter of leadership as women, of course, but also as a human race?
I particularly found the elephant, the older elephant matriarch. She reminded me of how I feel sometimes when she hit the road and she was like, I've never seen a road before. I don't know what to do. And she was paralyzed. And I love that she looked to the younger ones. She looked to her daughter and her granddaughter, and they showed her the way. And I sometimes feel like that with my team, where, you know, the younger female leaders, when I hit sort of obstacles of, you know, I'm not sure how we do this, it's not how I used to do it, they'll go, it's okay, it'll be fine, we'll make it work. And that's, I found really inspiring, just looking at how the animals do it. But I think generally we can take huge inspiration from the natural world. I find it very calming to know that animals always find a way, they always find a solution. Their drive is for life and for survival and for optimism. Their drive is not for destruction. There is no animal species that's trying to destroy another. They are just struggling to make their way, and that positivity, I think we could all learn a lesson from that sort of coexistence.
What a beautiful ending to this podcast. I really do believe that there is a great reason for documentaries like this. It's not just about animals and it's not just about wildlife. It's really about learning something so that we can create our own humanity and make it a little better. So we can learn from that. Let's not destroy what God has created. Let's not destroy the magnificent balance that there is in nature already, and let's try to restore the balance ourselves in our own life. This has been such a great conversation, Vanessa. Thank you for coming on my show. And anybody who's listening, please do check out this incredible series, Queens, on Nat Geo. By the time this episode drops, it'll already be available to you. So make sure that you educate yourself, that you entertain yourself, you get inspired, you get touched and moved like I did. Let's keep on making more great inspired content.